Hey everybody, welcome back to Girl Talk. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, before we get started, if you could give me a like, share, a thumbs up, comment, all that other good stuff, I would appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. You guys are the best. So, going into today, I normally have a topic or things to talk about. Today, I got nothing. We have topics to talk about. We just don't know which way we're going to go with it yet. So, kind of a random day and we'll see where it goes. I do have to warn you real quick, if you hear my doorbell and we kind of have to do a pause, we might have to do that. I actually have some blood work getting done this morning. Do we ever get a day off, guys? Even on our day off, there's blood work and stuff to do and everything else. And thankfully for me, they come to my house because I have a 3 vial limit. And once that 3 vial hits, it's like, okay, I'm done now. So it's nice that they come. I don't have to go anywhere. And if you get a little woozy or whatever, you can just lay down and kind of sleep it off and regroup yourself. So we may have to interrupt, but we'll see where it goes. So Friday, wasn't it always like the best day ever? And I don't know where you are or what stage of your life that you're in, but who remembers you go to work, you put your 8 to 12 hours in, and it's, Friday afternoon, and the only thing that you can think about going home, getting your outfit ready, getting a shower, and starting your weekend. And we had some fun weekends. I miss that so much. And now I think if I had to pull an all nighter, it would require the recovery time of major surgery. But yet, 2 o'clock this morning, I was wide awake. Go figure. It just depends. Um, and if you think as you get older that you will be on a schedule, think again. You won't. There's no such thing as a schedule ever. So just want to kind of put that out there. But, it's funny to look back that at 10 o'clock, we were only going out. Um, you know, we were ready to shut the bar down at 2 o'clock was last call. And then you go for breakfast. And until you get home, maybe, if you were lucky, you caught an hour of sleep. And then if you had to go back into work Saturday, it really sucked. But then you were ready to do it again right after work on Saturday again, and you did it. And you kind of did that for the whole weekend. And Sunday was the day of rest, which I think we all need a rest by then. We were done. We were just toasted. And I don't mean wasted as far as drinking wise. I mean, you can only stay awake for so long and then you got to shut it down. And so Sunday is still a day of rest. I like to keep that day open, as a day just for me to do whatever. If I want to rest, fine. If I want to do something, fine. If I don't want to do anything, that's okay too. I don't have anybody telling me I can't. And even if I did, I would probably tell them to um, get out of my space. You're in my bubble. Don't do that. Uh, so, yeah. The second thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was me and a friend were talking about different jobs and careers that when you're dealing with the public. And me and my daughter talk about this all the time. And I tell her, be very, very careful when it comes to burnout. Because when you're dealing with the public, it doesn't matter if it's on the phone, if you're facing them, if you're, I don't care if you are spit shining shoes. Try saying that 10 times. And it's the morning. Oh my gosh. All the way up to the CEO. if you're dealing with the public, trust me, you are in danger of burnout. And the thing of it is, these kids, and I call them kids, and I say this because if you are the age where I could have birthed you and you're old or young enough, depending which way, that you could be my kid, you're still a kid to me. But we tell these grown adults, oh, we got to get more than 5, 10, 15, 20 years out of you working. Sorry, but that's reality. We need you to pay into the system just as we did. And the people that come after you, you're going to feel the same way, because when you're on Social Security and things like that, if there is any left, the generation before you has to pay in so you can get it. So we cannot have these people burning out in 5 years. So whatever you have to do, when you come home, to keep that toxicity away, then that's what you need to do. And I realize that, okay, perfect example, my daughter is a nurse. I am sure there are things that she sees that I can't imagine. Um, I don't want to imagine them. That's the reason I'm not in healthcare, is because I can't. I physically couldn't do it, and I mentally could not do it. And it definitely takes a special person out there to work in healthcare. But in saying that, while we don't know what they see, when you clock out whatever you can let it work, do that. When you come home, your home is supposed to be your safe place, and it's supposed to be, I want to say, your bubble wrap. And so when you walk in that door, you are getting embraced because you know that that is a safe place. It is home. There is no room for um, toxicity. There's no room for chaos. And that also means bringing work home with you. You're not getting, 9 times out of 10, unless you're salary, you're not getting paid after hours. And unfortunately, the reality is, um, a business is a business, and they will always be for the business. They're not going to be for the employees. You are representing the company is not representing you. And that's something that needs to be realized when people go in and they think that they can run the show. It ain't your job. You don't have that title. I've noticed, and I don't know, I don't know if it's the generation thing or what, but there's a lot of kids coming out of college and they want that CEO salary. Well, good luck with that. Um, Sometimes you still have to go up that chain, and you still have to work your way up the ladder. And it doesn't matter what degree you have. You can have $100,000 out in student loans. It won't matter. You start at the bottom. 9 times out of 10, that's where you're going to start, unless you take a good business course. Um, but even so, at the end of the day, we all have somebody to answer to. Even that CEO has somebody that they have to answer to. So just remember that. Um, Kind of on a lighter note, and talking about, um, I had a brain freeze. Sorry, guys. Um, Talking about customer service, that was the role that I did. That was my career. It was my career choice. It was what I picked. It was what I was good at. Would I recommend it? No. You get a warped sense of humor. You end up not liking people. And I kind of laugh at that because, did you ever hear that saying, my customer service voice went to Harvard? Listen, my customer service voice is on point, and I am not giving I'm not giving myself a pat on the back or anything like that. I can be the nicest person in the world, and I can have the patience of a saint, let me tell you, when I'm getting paid for it. When I'm not getting paid, that's a completely different story. If that's my job, I will I will do good at my job, and I will be patient, and I will walk you through everything. Um, I worked for a technology company for 15 years. So that was cable, internet, and phone. I won't say which cable company, but when you are dealing with that, people think that cable and internet are necessities. They're not. The only thing that's really a necessity is a phone. And the only reason that that is because of calling 911. Otherwise, you don't need internet. You don't need cable. Um, I'll never forget this one time. And when you're working in that career, especially with technology, people get pissed off because they do think it's a necessity and not a luxury. Well, when you have a $200 bill, you got to cut something if you can't afford it. That's all there is to it. Um, but you get called a lot of names, and the names that you get called are not your government name. So that's always fun, let me tell you. And usually it was that freaking first phone call of the day that you were like, oh my God, this is how the rest of the day is going to go. And I'll never forget, it was in the summer and it was shut off day, which usually happened between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And that was done for a reason. Um, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what that reason was and why it was done in the middle of the night. But yeah. So, long story short, she has 3 kids. And the first words out of her mouth were, it wasn't good morning. It wasn't hello. It wasn't, can you help me? It was, why the fuck are my internet services off? Well, okay then. First of all, I need to verify your account. So, verify the account, that's fine. And turned out she had 3 kids. Now, keep in mind, it's the summertime. I'm at work, so I can support my daughter and my family. You have the luxury of being with your children and spending the summer with them and doing things with them while the rest of us are working. The reason that she bitched about her internet being shut off was because, and she completely asked me straight out, what am I supposed to do with my kids with no internet? I was completely dumbfounded. Well, you go for a walk, you go for a ride, you can make a tent in the living room, you can bake cookies, you can put a puzzle together, you can draw, you can color, take them to the park. I had many things that you can do. But it was very obvious that the only reason that she wanted her internet was to babysit her children. That's what technology has become. And, it's getting younger and younger. And when we would troubleshoot, this is no word of a lie, we would troubleshoot with somebody. And let's just say that it was with cable. And we would hear a little kid in the background. And we would be like, can you put them either on the phone or put them on speaker? We would actually walk these little kids, I'm talking like 6, 7 years old, through, make sure that this wire is tight. the wire coming from the wall, tell me where that's going, trace it with your hand, and we'd get it hooked up. But yet an adult could not. Now, in saying that, there's things that now I have to ask my daughter because I have no idea. Like, don't give me a spreadsheet and expect me to put stuff on a spreadsheet. Excel, Word, and all those documents, I was never good at. I can do it, but it's just going to take me a long time to figure it out. Um, so yeah, it's kind of funny, when I look back at those days and I think, oh my God. Um, I've also trained people in customer service. So when you're training people, you tell them, they can't come through the phone at you. Or I worked at a bank and I was drive through. They can't come through the window at you. Um, but if you did not have thick skin and big shoulders, because let me tell you, the public can be downright brutal. And we weren't allowed to hang up. Um, and I don't know about you, but unless it's a pet name, which nobody in the public should be calling me a pet name anyway, um, but unless it's a pet name and you're calling me out of my government name, um, technically that's abuse. They didn't care. As long as we got the sale, or as long as the customer was good with their stuff at the end, that's all they cared about. So you had people that I trained that would have to go out and kind of regroup, and they're brutzing and carrying on. And by brutzing, if you didn't hear one of my last videos, I think it was my first one actually, brutzing means crying. So they're brutzing and carrying on, and you just keep telling them you gotta just have thick skin. They're not gonna bite you. They're yelling. They're yelling behind a phone. You cannot take it personal, but you do. And, you know, um, again, there's things that we don't always get to keep at work. And I realize that. But whatever you can, when you punch out, definitely do. And, there's different coping mechanisms and things like that. I'm a firm believer. Crank that sucker up to 20 on the way home, music blaring, the bass pounding in your ears, headbanging music, like put on some Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and I mean, just get it out of your system. Or it could go the opposite. Maybe you're not that person. Um, Maybe you need more of talk therapy, and that's okay. Um, Sometimes you just have to you have to talk about stuff sometimes. Um, Sometimes that's not always with your family or friends, though, because they're not going to understand what you went through. Sometimes that needs to be a professional, and there's nothing wrong with that. But whatever you need to do to kind of keep work at work and keep the chaos out of your home and out of your non-work life, whatever you can do, I would definitely do that. And that's just my advice for the day. Um, Another thing I wanted to kind of touch on, and this is completely off topic, but every year I talk to a pharmacist that calls me and will go over all my medicine. And for me, um, I have to be really careful with medicine because it has to be belly friendly, because of how my stomach is. And one of the things that we talked about really in depth, I am not diabetic and I don't need to lose weight. So this is not a medication I take. Um, but I did find out that it's actually not a medication I would ever be able to take as well. And I kind of just wanted to put this out there because I know a lot of people are doing I believe they're called, let me see, I wrote it down, the GLP ones. And a lot are doing it for weight loss, some are doing it because of being diabetic. Um, some of it is now in these drinks that, and it's microdosing. Guys, please, please, please be careful. I can tell you that there are, and I'm not the only one saying this, and this is coming, and it came from my daughter, and it actually came from a, excuse me, a few other healthcare providers as well as the pharmacists that I talked to. Um, Pancreatitis, gallbladder issues, and bowel issues are on the rise because of these GLP ones. I don't know anything about the bowel. Um, the gallbladder is a little bit iffy, but I am an expert level of pancreatitis. I promise you, you get pancreatitis, you will lose weight because you're going to be busy puking your guts out. So, my suggestion to you, these drinks look really yummy and real big selling point right now, it's the new trend. Please check with your doctor and make sure that you are even able to take some of these medications and drinks, even if it's microdosing. Just be careful. Um, because I can tell you, you piss the pancreas off and you piss the gallbladder off, you're going to be in a world of shit. Um, and that's putting it lightly. So just please be careful and double check with your doctor. Um, and if your doctor is the one that put you on it, watch for those signs. You definitely don't want um, lasting changes that cannot be reversed done to your GI system. You don't. I promise you. Um, so I just kind of wanted to put that out there. And that came from a pharmacist. That's just not my opinion. That actually came from a lot of healthcare workers and like I said, the pharmacist. So it's accurate information. So the last thing that I wanted to really just touch on, and everything else, I don't know where you guys are at. Where I am, I'm actually in Pennsylvania. So we are getting some smoke going on from Canada, and there's wildfires. Yesterday was really, really bad. It was very hazy, and even on my phone this morning, it still says smoke. I'm thinking, oh my. Um, it's not too bad out today, but just be careful with the air quality. If you have any, problems with allergies, breathing, stuff like that, the air quality sucks right now if you're in PA and surrounding areas. So just be careful out there as well. The other thing, and probably the last thing that I want to talk about, just to go over what's everybody doing for the weekend? What are the plans here? I know that we have our local carnival is going on, and I think is it tonight they have fireworks? And I love fireworks, but honestly, it goes back to people. And I guess to end it, we can go back to almost the beginning here. Um, when I talked about the burnout and things like that, it's so funny because, when I talked about that we have to get 5, 10, 15, 20 years out of these people working, um, you get 20 years in. I have 20 years in. And it's to the point that You cannot get me in a public place when it is packed, meaning when the store is full. You won't see me there. Um, Unless there's like an extreme food emergency where I have to go, but we don't have that. Um, Excuse me again, but you just don't like crowds. You don't like people. Isn't that terrible? Like you're just that done with the people and the public. It's like, I just want to go in, get my groceries, do my thing, and get out. That's what I want to do. Um, and it makes you want to almost go into a secluded life. That's why I would have absolutely no problem on house arrest. I've always said, if I'm ever naughty, give me house arrest because I could sit here and not have a care in the world. I could do it, no problem. There are some people that would never be able to do that or never be able to sit at home, and they're just like, there's no way. I am the opposite. I don't need to see people. Um, Again, burnout, right? So hopefully, and I was talking about, the carnival and everything else. There's We come from a small town and you see everybody. And normally once a year I can handle that, but I don't know about this year. Not sure. So let me know what's up for your plans for the weekend. What are you guys doing? Anything fun going on? I know there's a lot of events going on now. Middle of summer, and there's some. I think it was last weekend. Was it Vixen and Brett Michaels were down at the Hollywood Casino, and that's down in Grantville, in Pennsylvania. It's by Hershey, and I would have actually really liked to go to that, but it got rained out anyway, I think. Um, but I think there's going to be a lot of cool shows down there too. So just something to look out for. And also, if you're in the area, talking about Hershey, Pennsylvania, don't forget we always got Hershey Park down there. Um, and we had the Hershey Gardens, and they are beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. There's always something to do, even in a small town, and there's always beauty around us. So that's one thing that we got to remember. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. Stay safe, stay cool, and let me know what your plans are this weekend, and we'll talk again soon. All right, guys, enjoy. Bye.